Welcome to this webinar where you will discover the Teach First training program. My name is Maya and I'm a program talent officer here at Teach First. My sole role is to support candidates and trainees on the journey into our teacher training program. Joining us tonight is also my colleague Alice. Alice is our application expert and has supported hundreds, if not thousands, of trainees through the training program application process. So we are very fortunate to have her this evening to explain our application process and offer her invaluable advice and tips on how to put your best foot forward during the recruitment process. Okay, so today we'll tell you about what we are, who we are, what is our Teach First training program, what makes it unique, its structure, and the support we offer, our ambassadors and what that means, how and when to apply if you're interested, and finally, I'll leave time at the end to answer any questions you might have. So who are we? We are a charity that believes education is the most powerful tool to help a child fulfill their potential. Unfortunately, even though it is 2025, the education opportunities are still not equally accessible to all children. In our country, children from low socioeconomic areas are on average 18 months behind their peers academically. This gap isn't just a hurdle, it becomes a barrier that contributes to higher unemployment rates and maintains social disparities. Our goal at Teach First is to level the playing field and ensure that every child has access to quality education and the opportunity to fulfill their potential. Now that you know a little bit more about who we are, let's look into the educational landscape we're here to improve. So to make it a little bit more interactive, let's start with a quick quiz, just for fun, no pressure. I'll share a statement and you can let me know whether you think the answer is A or B in the chat function. So firstly, what percentage of children eligible for free school meals do not achieve a grade 5 in GCSE Maths and English? Is it 48% or 78%? So please drop your answers in the chat function. I'm not seeing any answers coming. Oh, there is an answer A. Amazing. If you guessed 78%, B, you are correct. This statistic highlights the significant challenges faced by students from disadvantaged backgrounds. For context, children are eligible for free school meals if their parents or carers receive a specific level of financial support from the government. Many of us might have been eligible for free school meals at some point. Next question. How many pupils from the poorest postcode do not pass their GCSEs in maths? Is it 1 in 5 or 2 in 5? Again, put A or B in the chat function. Great. Well, if you've guessed 2 in 5, you are correct. In fact, 38% of pupils from the most disadvantaged postcodes do not pass GCSEs in maths. This is nearly double the rate compared to the wealthiest postcodes, where only 20% of pupils fail to pass their GCSEs in maths. Now, next question isn't multiple choice, but what percentage of UK doctors do you think come from working class background? Please type the percentage you think it is and share your answer in the chat. All right, the correct answer is just 4%. I see the answer, one answer is 10%. Unfortunately, it's lower than that. So that's just 4% of pupils coming from disadvantaged backgrounds become doctors in the UK. So what's our solutions to combat these drastic educational inequalities? We fight them by partnering up with schools that need just a little bit more support to give their students a fighting chance. So we do this by bringing motivated trainees that want to make a real impact. So we're not just filling the classrooms with teachers, we're transforming them. These trainees, perhaps some of you here tonight, will become beacons of inspiration and catalysts for change. With Teach First, you're not just joining a training program, you're joining a mission focused on action, support, and lasting change. So, for a quick overview, our training program offers a unique start to your teaching career. First off, it's a 2-year fully funded and salaried program, meaning there are no fees or debts to worry about. From our very first day in the classroom, you'll earn a salary as an unqualified teacher in one of our partner schools. And by your second year, your salary will increase to a minimum of $32,000 a year and it will continue to rise each year in line with teacher pay scales. You will also get a qualified teacher status with us, which gives you the right to work as a teacher in England in primary and secondary schools. Plus, you'll earn a fully funded postgraduate certificate in education, PGCE, which is internationally recognizable and could enable you to teach abroad as well. As a trainee on program, you'll never be alone, as you will be joining a community over 20,000 individuals, including teachers, leaders, and organizations, all dedicated to unlocking the potential in children across the country. This community isn't just empowering, it's a place to make long-lasting connections and friendships. So what truly sets us apart is a support package. Unlike other school-led routes, we offer an enhanced support package throughout the 2-year training program. We know that schools are busy, and what we offer a package of support to help you thrive in your new career. So firstly, you will have a Teach First Train in-school mentor outside of your department, as well as at least 2 Teach First development leads. One as a subject expert, and the other is a former teacher employed by Teach First to support you. This support we offer from multiple angles means that we're here to support your development and well-being every step of the way throughout the training program. And to truly understand what program has to offer, I will now hand over to my colleague Alice, who will give you an overview of the full 2 years start to finish and tell you more about our recruitment process and how to start your application.
Thanks, Maya. Yeah, hi everyone. So we're going to start by talking through, as I said, the journey you'll take on the Teach First program. So if we start with year 1, our training starts with Summer Institute, which is a mixture of online and in-person training to help you develop core skills across behaviour management, lesson planning and pupil assessment. This also includes a weekly one-to-one check-in with your development lead that we just mentioned before to ensure your coaching and development is tailored to what you need. There are in-person elements during Summer Institute that includes a school-centred learning week in 2 different schools, which gives you a chance to practice your skills you've learnt in front of real classes. And there's also a networking day, so you finally get to meet fellow trainees in person. Now, it's important to highlight that we know that we're living in challenging financial times, and we do have the option for you to continue in your current role right up until you start work as a trainee teacher in September. We've run a part-time Summer Institute option for 4 years now. You can select either part-time or full-time Summer Institute if you do apply for our programme. Both options start in June of 2026. So in the September, you'll start working in your employment school, teaching between 60 to 80% of a full timetable, which is equivalent to around 17 teaching hours per week. Excitingly, you'll have real responsibility from September and you'll be leading your own classes. But remember, this is an enhanced package of support. So throughout the programme, you'll receive ongoing training from Teach First, so in teaching, leadership and subject experts. And the summer of 2027, all your hard work will have paid off and you'll have gained your QTS and you'll conclude your PGCE. So you then have the summer, and many trainees choose to have a well-earned 5 to 6 weeks break at this stage. However, we have many trainees who opt to do a summer project instead. And the summer project is a 1 to 3 week placement, sort of like an internship at one of our corporate partner organisations. And it's a chance to develop new skills, forge connections, and broaden your career prospects. So at the end of your holidays in the second year, you'll come back to the same school as a newly qualified teacher, and you'll receive a nice salary increase to at least 30,000, no matter where you're based in England. And with Teach First, you have that job security for the 2 years, as well as enhanced support. At this stage, you'll know your school really well, you'll know your pupils, the rules, the routines, meaning you'll likely have an immense impact on your pupils, and certainly more so than if you were starting at a new school where you'd have to re-establish yourself. As our programme uniquely focuses on leadership development, you can take on some optional leadership responsibilities at your school in year 2, which would make you eligible for a further salary increase. And from the 2026 cohort, developing leadership skills is going to be implemented as a focus throughout the entirety of our training programme. And we want to make sure that every trainee onboarded onto the programme has a strong sense of why we want to work towards our mission and will be a confident change maker in the future. Finally, at the end of year 2, you'll complete the programme and become a Teach First ambassador. And being an ambassador comes with its own perks. You can tap into a wide teaching network, work with some of our corporate partners. To give you a better idea of what our ambassador network looks like. So as you can see on screen, we currently have more than 20,000 ambassadors, so those who've completed our programme. And of those, 140 are head teachers now, and over 2,000 are in school leadership positions. And statistically, Teach First ambassadors are 12 times more likely than university-trained teachers to move into senior leadership roles within 3 years. And additionally, 62% of those who continue to teach choose to work in low-income areas, continuing to make a difference. And while we're on the subject of impact and the impact you can have on the programme, just want to quickly talk about the profound impact you can make as a STEM teacher. So the importance of STEM education can't be overstated, especially when faced with the reality of our educational disparity. As we already highlighted, only 4% of doctors come from working class backgrounds. And just a couple of really shocking statistics. So in England, 54% of secondary schools don't offer the GCSE in computer science, and a staggering 87% of young people stop studying maths beyond the age of 16. So these figures really reflect not just numbers, but deep-rooted social inequality and missed opportunities, not just for students, but for our society. And as a STEM teacher with Teach First, you're stepping up to change this narrative and offering new paths to students who might otherwise never see them. So if you've studied chemistry, biology, physics, engineering, maths or a related subject, even A-level or equivalent, you're likely to be eligible to teach STEM subjects on our programme. We wholeheartedly encourage you to consider it. Now we're going to have a little further look at our eligibility requirements. So as you can see them on the screen. So we offer most secondary national curriculum subjects, along with limited primary and early years opportunities. It is important to note, however, that at this time we're no longer taking applications for primary or early years. So to apply for our programme, you'll need to have at least a 2-2 or above with honours in a degree subject. As I said, that is for secondary because we are not open for primary anymore. A degree and or A-level equivalents that meet our curriculum requirements, so we can align you to a national curriculum subject to teach, and at least a grade C or 4 in Maths and English GCSE or equivalent. And additionally, you must have the right to work in the UK for the duration of our programme. We welcome applications interested in all subjects. However, I do need to mention that at this time of the recruitment year, as I said, we're now closed for primary in the whole country. But nevertheless, if you're eligible to teach primary, it's very likely that you're eligible to teach a secondary subject too. We'd wholeheartedly encourage you to consider it. Give yourself a chance to start your journey towards a QTS as soon as possible instead of waiting 1 more year to apply. So how to apply? Now, Teach First sounds like the right fit for you. I'll just give you a quick overview of our application process. So we have a 2-stage application process. The first is an online application followed by our development centre, which is like our assessment centre. And once you start your application, our dedicated application management team will be in touch to provide support throughout the entire process. The guidance is incredibly valuable, especially during the development centre stage as well, so get ready for that. But here are just some 5 application top tips to help you with writing your application if you do want to apply for our programme. So the first tip is about research. So make sure you conduct thorough research into Teach First and refer to key findings in your answers and personalise it in a way which explains what it means to you. We'd consider looking at things like our website, LinkedIn, our social media, YouTube channel, and ambassador stories as inspiration. Secondly, maintain accuracy and quality. So consider drafting your answers on Word or something similar first before submitting them on your application. Applications with 5 or more spelling and grammar errors will be unsuccessful, so do make sure you're proofreading through your work before you are submitting your application. Thirdly, do draw on a range of experiences or examples. So in answering our competency section, use a range of experiences rather than relying on just the same one for all questions. Ideally, examples should be fairly recent, within 3 to 4 years. So reflect carefully, as choosing an example which doesn't quite fit the competency we're asking about can mean your application doesn't pass screening. Next tip is watch your style and content. So utilize the 250 word limit and focus on one example per question. Not putting enough detail in your answers or using several examples in one answer can be the reason why applicants fail at the application stage. And lastly, just being really clear and concise with your answers and your structure. We recommend using something called the CAR structure, so context, action, result, to ensure your answer has enough detail and it's clear and easy to read. And once finished, do read it back, as I've said, check you fully answered the question, that it flows and it makes sense. So here's what to do next. So you can open an application with us. You see there's a QR code there which you can scan, which takes you to our application. Your application management team, so myself or somebody else in my team, will be in touch really soon to offer that support. And we recommend applying now. We work on a first come, first served basis. Some subjects and regions close earlier than others. As I said, early years and primary is already closed. We then close for other subjects as soon as we find enough fantastic trainees. So the sooner you apply, the better. And so now this is the Q&A section. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to add them into the chat box, and myself and Maya are happy to work through them and offer you some advice.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alice, for that. It was very, very, very informative and invaluable. So yeah, like as Alice mentioned, we have some time now to answer a couple of questions. Alice has the best expertise to address any questions about the recruitment process or the application process. And myself, I would address any questions regarding the training program and anything to do with that. However, we won't be able to address any individual eligibility queries here today. If you have any specific queries about your eligibility, I do recommend opening an application, and then our application management team will reach out to you to discuss it further. Just checking the chat and Q&A function. Don't see any questions just yet, but we'll wait a few minutes in case there are still any questions coming. All right, I'm not seeing any questions coming through the chat or the Q&A section. So I see that everything was explained very clearly. If you do have any questions and you just don't want to pop them in the chat for everyone else to see, just feel free to reach out to either myself or Alice. You have our contact details just here. And when you go on the Teach First page to start your application, you will also be able to see the section to register for a call with a program talent officer to answer any questions you might have as well. But we do strongly recommend just opening your application to just get your foot in the door as soon as possible, and then the application management team will reach out to support you with the next steps. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time joining us this evening. Really appreciate that you join us to learn a little bit more about Teach First and our training program. Hopefully, we will see you on the other side on our program. Other than that, hope you have a lovely evening ahead of you. Thank you so much.